All right, here we go. Lesson 87 of A Course in Miracles, the workbook. This lesson, these are all review lessons. We've started with lesson 81, and there's been 2 review ideas for the day, or 2 review lessons for each day. Let's just go through them real quick. Lesson 81 was I am the light of the world, and forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Lesson 82, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. And let me not forget my function. Lesson 83, my only function is the one God gave me. And my happiness and my function are one. Lesson 84, love created me like itself. And love holds no grievances. Lesson 85, my grievances hide the light of the world in me. And then my salvation comes from me. And then yesterday we did lesson 86, only God's plan for salvation will work, and holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. And that was lesson 86. Today is lesson 87. So here we go. Our review today will cover these ideas. Number 1, paragraph 1, and this is lesson 73. So remember, this is a review of lessons we've had earlier. Lesson 73 was, I will there be light. And here's Jesus' new commentary on this, which is, I will use the power of my will today. It is not my will to grope about in darkness, fearful of shadows and afraid of things unseen and unreal. Light shall be my guide today. I will follow it where it leads me, and I will look only on what it shows me. This day I will experience the peace of true perception. Paragraph 2, these forms of this idea would be helpful for specific applications. This is all in italics now. This cannot hide the light I will to see. You stand with me in light, and then you put the person's name. And then in the light, this will look different. Okay, so that was I will there be light. Now the second, this is actually the third paragraph, but lesson 74, we're reviewing this lesson as well. There is no wills but God's. I am safe today because there is no will but God's. I can become afraid only when I believe there is another will. I try to attack only when I'm afraid, and only when I try to attack can I believe that my eternal safety is threatened. Today I will recognize that all this has not occurred. I am safe because there is no will but God's. These are some useful forms of this idea for specific applications. And this is all in italics again. Let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. It is God's will. You are his son. And then you give the person's name and mine as well. This is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. Okay, so this is the review for today. Now we're going to go through it a little bit more slowly. We might talk about certain things that come up as we read it, okay? So here we go. I will there be light is lesson 73. I will there be light. This is reminiscent of Genesis, right? The book of Genesis in the Hebrew Bible, where God says, let there be light, right? Yeh or, let there be light, and there was light. So I will there be light. I will use the power of my will today. It is not my will to grope about in darkness, fearful of shadows and afraid of things unseen and unreal. So this is a statement of that, a clear statement that I do not want to be in the darkness anymore. I do not want to be without light anymore. I do not want to be in misery anymore. I do not want to suffer anymore. Right? So this is a statement of purpose, a statement of intention. Light shall be my guide today. I will follow it where it leads me, and I will look only on what it shows me. This day I will experience the peace of true perception. So we are calling on the light, calling on the light within. And what is the light within? The Holy Spirit. This is what Jesus calls throughout the course, the Holy Spirit is the light within ourselves. It is the light that shines in the darkness. And Jesus is that as well. Jesus is a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. So for all intents and purposes, Jesus and the Holy Spirit are one. the Holy Spirit represents our internal teacher or internal guide. And that is the light that we call upon for guidance. Because in this world is testifying to the reality of the illusion. and the illusion is not real, but everything in this world testifies to that. So because we're so caught in that, we need to call on something that is beyond that is outside of that, and that would be the Holy Spirit, that would be Jesus, that have transcended the illusion, that have awakened from the dream of separation. And we call upon that light, okay? So these forms of this idea would be helpful for specific applications. This cannot hide the light I will to see. So whenever you have a grievance throughout your day, whenever you have a problem or an issue, you bring this idea. This whatever this is happening cannot hide the light I will to see. Or you stand with me in light, and you give the person's name. So whenever you start to get upset about someone or upset with someone, you say, you stand with me in light, and you give the person's name. In the light, this will look different, right? So I see it right now through the ego's vision, but if I were to see it through the Holy Spirit's vision, I would be at peace, and I would not see a problem right now. I would see only the light, right? I would only see a call for love, not a call for attack, not a call for hate, not a call for anger, but a call for love. All right, so the next one is, there is no will but God's. There is no will but God. So I will there be light, and there is no will but God. So the will that I'm calling upon, when I will there to be light, I'm calling on the will of God, which is also my own will. I am safe today because there is no will but God's. Right? God's will is my will. I can become afraid only when I believe there is another will. Right? So if I think there's two wills, if I think there's an opposition to God, then I can be afraid, because I think that there is something opposed to God that can hurt me, right? But if there's only really God's will, and God's will is perfect happiness, as Jesus tells us, then I have nothing to fear, because God wills only perfect happiness. God is only love, and God can only be loving. And therefore, I need only be loving. I don't need to attack. I don't need to be in fear. I don't need to attack cause I'm in fear. I can just rest in that knowing. So I can become afraid only when I believe there's another will. I try to attack only when I'm afraid. And only when I try to attack can I believe that my eternal safety is threatened. So I'm afraid, I attack, and then I feel, because I'm afraid, I attack because I feel that I'm threatened, but that's really the ego. Only the ego can be threatened. The ego is not real, right? Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Only the ego can be threatened. If I give the ego reality, or if I accord the illusion reality, then it will have power, but not in reality. I give it more power in the illusion over me. In reality, it doesn't have any power, but it seems to within the illusion. And I become further in the dark. I put myself further in the dark. Today I will recognize that all this has not occurred. I am safe because there is no will but God's. So God and God's will have never changed. They are the same as they ever were. My will, my true will, has never changed. My will is still one with God's will. I don't need to worry or be afraid of anything. And I don't need to attack anything. These are some useful forms of this idea for specific applications. Let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. That's one. It is God's will, you are his son, and then you give the person's name and mine as well. So it is God's will, you are his son, so-and-so, and mine as well. And this is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. So, no matter what it seems like on the surface, no matter what the problem is in life, no matter how horrible it may seem, it cannot change the reality that love is all. All is one is all, love is all, and that can never be changed, right? And it's up to me to choose what I'm going to get with, right? I can either get with this or I can get with that. I don't know if you've ever heard this song by I think it's the group. It was a hip hop group called Black Sheep. You can get this with this or you can get with that. Which are you going to get with, right? If you choose the will of God, if you choose the Holy Spirit's vision, Jesus or Christ's vision, you will know peace even while you're here in this world, right? If you choose the ego and if you keep going with the ego, you will remain in the darkness and you will remain out of touch with your true reality. And the reality is that time is illusory, so it doesn't really matter because you're going to find your way at some point or another, right? Everyone has to wake up, right? So that's not it's a tragedy only in time. Let's put it that way. It is tragic, but it's tragic only in time. In reality, it's not tragic at all. That's lesson 87. I hope this was helpful. I always hope it's truly helpful. I am going to do another video today. I've decided, not today, but I'm going to do very soon. I'm going to read through Helen's prose poem that's called The Gifts of God. And I just really tuned into this yesterday, this poem that she wrote. And it's really a synopsis. It's like A Course in Miracles in miniature. So I'm going to read that soon. So stay tuned for that. And today I think I'm going to do just one last third, maybe smaller part of my intro to A Course in Miracles. So if you're interested, check that out. And, if you like, and if you like to subscribe, then subscribe. And yeah, leave a question, comment, anything. We'd love to hear from you. And thanks for tuning in. See you very soon.